What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of AoS R&D with Rob and Dale. And today we have Matthias back with us.
Hello.
The famous but also infamous Matthias. Um,
Am I
and
really famous? I don't know. I'm just kind of here.
you're popular in the Skaven WhatsApp group, sir, even though you're not a part of it.
No,
Yeah.
of WhatsApp fame.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone knows.
You don't do. Oh, I forgot
Wow.
to. I forgot to change the Twitter thingy, my jugger. Okay, it's gone. Um,
I quit my daughter's game WhatsApp group because all they ever talk about is Marathi and bow snakes, and I'm just not interested. So after months of arguing with it, I was like, no, I'm just done. I'm done. They have no input I want to know, so I just deleted it.
I quit almost all of the WhatsApp groups for the same reason. I'm
Yeah,
still in Skaven, obviously, just because they're just like the
yeah,
best people. And then I'm in the Gits one too because they're
yeah,
they're funny and they're fun,
yeah,
and it's like more hobby and just people who love the army.
yeah.
I'm still in the Deepkin one because I've been in there since the beginning, but I don't pay as much attention. It's not very busy, and it's like much more like it. Most of the people in there are like really competitively focused, and it's not like as hobby related. And then I'm in the Soulblight Gravelords one because I created that one, so I should probably stay there. Yeah. But yeah, some of them are good. You know, I'm sure there's other good ones out there.
Mhm.
So we had Kipper's Malay, which we did a list review on last week, right? And
But yeah, we just kind of picked out some of our like the more interesting, but
right,
not
yeah,
power
we don't
ways. Just
really
like
do list
yeah,
reviews, but it's a
yeah,
local tournament put on by like our club member, or not our club, like our one of the founding members of our local club, and it was partially that, and it just seemed like a fun kind of different thing to do, talk about it. So today we're going to talk about the results and also about your guys' strategies and the interesting sort of events that happened. We might also be joined by Eric, who is presently not with us, but he may show up. He's the he's an
I'm good.
he's very I can't say it.
I'm gonna steal his dog.
Enigmatic. Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. You're gonna steal his dog.
Yeah, his dog's gorgeous.
His dog is.
I got to meet Eric's dog for the first time on Saturday before we went for dinner, and after about 2 seconds, I was on my knees rolling around the floor with the dog.
Nice.
So I was
Nice.
very happy. Hey, Alex.
Yo, Alex. Also
Uh,
a famous and infamous club member, same as
yeah.
Matthias.
For those that are interested, just so to know, some of the Seattle people, because we have the Pacific Northwest Masters this weekend,
Yes.
so some of the Seattle people are doing a list review show for that 9 p.m. Pacific time. So I'm just going to post it up in YouTube for their
Nice.
channel. So then if anyone wants to go and watch it later on, because it'll be after our show, so
It will be
uh,
after our
they can go for it.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should. Yeah.
No, he didn't eat my feet, but he bruised my eyebrow. He must have like headbutted me on clawed me. So on my eyebrow here, I have like I thought it was a spot. It's not a spot. It's not. It must be the dog. It must be the dog when I was playing with him, just
Yeah.
like headbutted me or
Headbutted.
something, and I
Yeah.
just didn't notice.
I sent Eric a picture or a video of this guy, and he was like, it showed like his dog when it's a puppy, and he's like teaching it how to hug, and then it's like a few years later, and he's just like trying to make videos, and he's like staring into the camera, and it like takes him out, like pushes him into a pool and stuff like that. Yeah, that's basically my dog. Although he's calmed down quite a bit, but I gave him a bath today, and my back is just destroyed. Yeah, I think he's like 110, 15 pounds now
Hmm.
of love. That's the problem. He loves too hard. Anyway, so uh, first of all, the rumor engine. We've got another weird fan thing. Dale had a good guess.
I actually just looked it up. So if you look up the Adeptus Mechanicus Archaeocopter,
Yep.
the tail
Yeah.
of that is pretty, I wouldn't say it's the same, but it's a similar design. So I'm wondering if it's going to be like maybe like smaller versions of that. It might be like little, because that's like a bigger fighter. Maybe there's going to be like little versions,
Yeah.
kind of like jet bikes for the Adeptus Mechanicus, but they're all like
I'll
little.
I'll see if I can
Warcopter,
pull it
please.
up. What's it called again?
Oh, I'll put it up in the thing in
Archaeocopter?
chat, but yeah, it's the Adeptus Mechanicus Archaeocopter.
Oh,
I've
I
just
see.
put up a picture.
Yeah, yeah. So if you like, it's like that's the tail fin is like vertical, whereas that
Yeah.
looks. I mean, it could be anything because
Because as well as that, you've got the Adeptus Mechanicus Pretzakari or something weird name, which are like the infantry with the wing
the wings
backs.
totally. But
And again, like it's a similar
it is
design.
it is similar, but you know the copter doesn't have any rivets.
Yeah, yeah. Which is why I'm wondering if it's maybe like a Dark Mechanicus version, or it might be.
That is
just,
the rumor, hey?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
been like, they did some kind of thing for that Warhammer 40k anniversary thing, and supposedly they're hinting at Dark Mechanicus there. So, I don't know, but that's cool. I'm gonna guess it's another Deepkin thing, because I want it to be a Deepkin thing, and that's my reason.
Matthias, I just noticed you haven't strategically put your trophy from
Oh, Doom Dive.
no, from AoS from the Seattle event. That big one. It should be on one of those shelves behind it so we can see
It
it.
should be back there. There's a nice big blue space right here for it.
Yeah, yeah.
I like to say in Doom Diver, I would love it.
Doom Diver is the correct answer for what it should be. Absolutely. Doom Diver is better.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah, hey Matt. That's
Yeah.
Or it's one of the. Didn't they hint at the Flying Grot army in the KO book at one point?
I mean,
Anything of that kin?
they
The
hinted at
Scuttlebag
that.
Pirates or whatever?
Yep. There's also like a flying like Skaven army that's been hinted at multiple times and is in the Hamilcar novel, which I've started listening
but I mean,
to. And it's
we've
amazing.
just had the Skaven book, but we haven't had the Gibbs book yet.
Yeah, but this
Maybe we're
this
gonna
isn't
have
coming.
frogs and spiders and squigs and then flappy grots or something.
This isn't coming though for like the stuff they put in here is like typically like what, a year out, like 6 months to a year out.
I'd say 6 months, but again, I don't think we could get something that quick.
Yeah,
Maybe Identity Pin, but I wouldn't say we would escape.
yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, well, so the Skaven were rumored. We were rumored to get like a dual thing with Seraphon, but that might have been a poison leak because I know they were doing that from a. I have a friend who writes professionally for 40k, and he like told me that they actually like GW actually puts out poison leaks, and then you know what I mean. So when they if you say one of the things that they tell you, then they know who it is. But yeah, and then there's Grotbag Scuttlers are the flying ones.
That's the one.
Okay. There's also like in a few different places there's like a grot crab like underwater people as well. So I would love that as well. Give it to me.
I mean, that Krabby was one of the most popular things of last year or 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean,
Gifts and Alia crabs.
like, who'd have thought, right? So yeah. I mean, I think we've covered that now pretty good. So at the Matthias, apparently there's a club named after you.
Matthias is
At the tournament,
Oh,
Matthias,
that has implications.
Eric, and Dale all did something special.
Actually, also, I'd like to also give a shout out to
Okay.
someone who's not here right now,
Yeah.
but one of my buddies who's probably only played Age of Sigmar against me and maybe one other person. He took his gifts as well.
That's the guy with the Gobapalooza?
He took the Godpalooza.
Nice.
It was his first tournament.
Yeah.
He went 3-2, sorry,
Uh-huh.
on his first tournament, which was pretty cool.
Very cool.
And he also won Best Painted,
That's amazing.
which is what he was going for. So,
What's his
Danny
name?
Hatch, you'll watch us at some point. Congratulations. Well done.
That's awesome. It's always great to see.
Winning the Godpalooza.
It's always great to see people entering the. You know what I mean? Can
But it's also the comedy thing as well. So like there was 3 painting awards. So there was best painted. There it is, Danny. There we go.
yo, Danny.
Best painted. The coolest army, which is the one that people pick. And then they also did one as well, which was kind of a new one, which I didn't know about, which was best table. So the idea is they're encouraging people to bring your own tables to help with terrain, so we have better terrain.
Oh.
And they did an award where they basically, you picked which table you had the nicest terrain. So I won the nicest terrain with my Haggle Thorn Hollow stuff. So I gave that trophy to Lisa. Danny won best painted. And then the third Gits player of the 3 Gits players that were there won coolest army, because he has this kind of like mushroom tree with all the spiders and everything kind of hanging off and stuff. So all 3 Gits players got a cool thing.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Congrats to all of them.
Shows you Gits.
Yeah. I mean, I played my first game of Gits with Path to Glory. It's a battle report, 600 points, only 600 points, but my God, did I have fun. That army is so much fun, and I'm hoping people will enjoy my silly paint job. So Eric won best overall. He went 4-1 with his Sylvaneth, and won best overall. Clap, 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 clap. Very cool. And then Matthias won best general. Went 5-0 with Skaven. Clap, 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 clap. And the most amazing achievement was Dale went 4-1 with Gits and didn't bring anything weird, or didn't bring anything like meta, I guess. Like
the sad thing about me going 4-1 with Gits is if I hadn't have got Matthias in the last round and I'd got one of the 2 other people, I actually think I could have beaten, because one was the Cruel Boys and the other one was, it wasn't Nighthawk, it was Zinch. It was Zinch. Yeah. And Zinch didn't have enough damage output, I don't think, to be able to knock me off the points with it. Because I could just keep, because he couldn't commit to combat, so I could just rally on 4+s for the little units. And the Cruel Boys, with teleports and stuff, I think I could have, been able to soak most of those damage.
Who did the Zinch player play?
The Zinch player ended up with the Cruel Boys, and I ended up with Matthias.
Oh, so it would have been Matthias, Cruel Boys, you, Zinch.
Going into that match, I was like, okay, so this is yours to lose. I think Matt Beasley went up to Matthias before the game and said, congratulations on 5-0. Because my army is not the level it needed to be for that sort of game. And I think the first turn you what lightning cannoned off the Direbrew and the Marsh Crawler.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the Marsh Crawler, wait, so one of them you just got did you get a roll of 1?
Yeah, so I mean we can wait until
fair
time to talk about it.
Fair enough. Yeah. I play Skaven and I play Gits, so I was just I can almost see exactly what was gonna happen.
I went into that game expecting there to be a real fight, though, because of all the people saying that it should be an easy win.
Yeah.
And here's Dale with 4 wins in a row on Gits, and I'm like,
he's more than that. Though.
Did he find the code to playing Gits and somehow make an amazing list? Do I need
the code for playing Gits is run away. Run away from combat. Do not stay around Trogos. Sure, they're okay, but everything else, if you don't need to be there, just run away. If they don't double turn or something.
Yeah. No, I mean, not only that though, but Dale wasn't 4-0 going into that game. He was something like 10-0. You are. I don't remember the last time you lost playing with your Gits. You beat my Seraphon?
Yeah, because I beat Alex as well with it. I mean, it was with a different list, but true.
Yeah, you beat my Seraphon. That was with Purple Sun and Crown Spine, but still. And then you beat my IDK as well.
I beat Danny. Yeah. I beat Alex. Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's.
I think so. So the thing I found that worked great, because some people that asked and stuff. So the Direbrew didn't work that great. I mean, one game he did really well against Megas.
He's so slow though.
He's because he's 5-inch movement, but the problem with him is because he's just a 4-up armor save, and he's
No ward.
No after pain. And because you're doing the damage to get the extra attack, and he's only bravery 7, you know, he can just die.
Like, and he's not a monster either. And I think that's one of the... If he was a monster, it's a totally different story because he gets monstrous actions, etc.
Which he should be, because he's the base size.
And he's 12 wounds.
Yeah.
So him, I actually was like already considering just dropping him for 2 loon bosses because they're only 75 points. I can have one inside each unit of squigs.
Yeah.
So then if I want to use the 6-up mortal wound ability, I can. But mainly they're there for... The main reason he was in the list was command abilities. Because, you know, Trogs don't have a champion and Squigs don't have a champion. So I needed something that pushes up while the other stuff hide behind the Loon Shrine or next to the Loon Shrine to be able to use command abilities. But what worked really well was having the Trogs not in Galician veterans, so they weren't getting the extra damage on them from bounty hunters, and then keeping them within the moon, and where possible trying to get them inside forests, because you know they're on a 4-up, then you can all like defense, or if they're in the thing, Mystic Shield, that sort of thing. You know, with the 5-up ward, they can be pretty tanky, especially using, I was calling it the Trident, where you can just do a line of 20, you know, like this with 20 grots, and have like one on each side with like 1 or 2 backs that are 2 inches away from the front line. So if you have to remove stuff or something, you can. And then the tail of it at the back. So when the enemy do charge it, a lot of the time they forget about nets, or even if they do, they kind of have to engage the Trogs. And even if they don't engage the Trogs have got the reach to be able to just hit them anyway. And then when they take enough damage, you make sure you're pulling from the front backwards. So then the next turn you can rally them and just rally them back and then charge in again and stuff like this. So only one game did my Grots die, and that was the last game against Matthias. The rest of the time, I think I got down to 4 at one point, and then I still managed to rally them up to 16.
Wow. I mean,
but
I'd like to try out Stabas or Shootas or something like that, but the problem is they... I've got like 150 Stabas or something, or 160 Stabas, and I've got like 60 or so Shootas, but no Nettas. None.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're the old 4th edition ones.
Just buy some netting material and cut it out and just, you know, make it look like they've netted themselves or something.
Let's talk after. Yeah, if you guys can think of a good way of doing that.
Yeah. I actually thought about switching out the netters as well. Actually, again, like I don't want to do anything until the battle scroll comes out in 2 weeks, because there might be big changes we don't know. But the other one I thought about doing was swapping out the Stabbers for shooters if I am taking those 2 75-point loon bosses. Because the thing with like the loon bosses is usually you don't take them because they're terrible. They're 75 points, 5-up armor save. They're just rubbish. But if they're literally just there inside of units to be there for command things, you're not getting them in combat. If the enemy wants to waste their time to shoot them out, then you know the -1 to hit, -2 because of their ability. So you're getting -1 to look at, so -3. So it's still going to be a -1, but you know you have that disadvantage. You know what it's like trying to shoot something with your deepkin when you're trying to shoot my mushroom guy. Sometimes
that was crazy though. That was the craziest. Like that was the most awful shooting thing I've ever experienced. It was. I was just. You know, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail.
Because you're harvesting so much, like most of the time I was on like 4 or 5 CP a turn because like keeping stuff within the moon, having the fungoid, having the thing, having warlord and stuff like this, and because you're not using all that attack with Dobby, you know, you're saving that CP as well. So maybe having like, you know, those 2 loon bosses, and then you can use the shooting phase. You can use their ability to give them the 6s for mortals for the shooting at 16 inches. Like 20 shots at 16 inches, you could pop a hero or get some chunky wounds on something.
That goes on.
Because shooting and combat.
That goes on.
Use it.
Wait. Who gives that to who?
So a loon boss, a normal loon boss.
Like the guy with the moon-faced helmet on foot? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he has an ability where if he's your general, which he's never going to be because he's 75 points.
Yeah.
So it's wholly within 12 inches.
Yeah.
Let me bring up the wording of it here.
But if it only works if he's the general.
No.
Wait, isn't that what you just said?
So no, so if it's your general, it's 24 inches. If it's not your general, it's 12 inches.
Got it.
So you basically use the command ability it says to start the combat phase, so you can't use it for shooting. But yeah, so you use it for combat, and you put it on the squigs, for instance, as long as they're wholly within, and all your 6s are mortals in addition to the damage. So when you've got 24 squids with 48 attacks, that can then become quite juicy. It's only 75 points, plus he's in there to do command abilities if he needs to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was wondering if you could do it on the shooting as well. I think the loom boss, the one with squig you can. No, it's combat phase as well. Yeah, so it's not one you can do it on shooting.
20 shooters. Oh, by the way, thanks for the tip, Alex. You said Hillary has some mesh to make nets. Danny says 20 shooters will do 1 damage. Hot tip though, the shooter champion can have a net for 3 attacks and a +1 to hit.
Yeah, the reason I was going to change it to shooters, Danny, is because I thought you could use that ability in the shooting phase as well, but it just says combat phase, so yeah, sadly cannot. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
So yeah, I'm still thinking about trying it because again, it's like dropping the big guy for 2 small guys. Because again, you're already getting the damage output from the squigs and from the Troggles.
Could you put it on the squigs? Like I know they have the Moon Clan keyword, but doesn't it say Moon Clan Grot unit?
Mm-hmm.
We're like troubleshooting this thing live.
Yeah, it says Moon Clan Grot.
Does it? Yeah, that's what I couldn't remember for sure, but it just rang a bell.
Yeah, so it's a bit meh. Anyway, we'll see what the new battle scroll. As I said, gonna wait until see what happens at the end of the month because they're supposed to get some sort of. I don't know if they're going to get some war scroll changes or some massive point. I mean, they can't do just points. That's the thing. It's like you could drop the whole army by 20 points. It's still not going to work.
Yeah, it's maybe they'll just add some champions. Like this unit gets a champion. Like this.
I want give Gobbapalooza the hero keyword.
Yeah, totally.
And then but they don't count towards your 6 heroes.
Yeah.
And then give one of them priest.
Well, they don't have they won't have the leader keyword, but you can still give them the hero thing like the warp knob used to be, and then you'd be good to go.
Because I would take them if they could give command abilities.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know if they'd be worth it, but they'd be at least they'd be usable. Good on you, Danny, once again. And hey, Sean, how's it going?
Yeah, I was talking to Danny about this, the thing where it's like the Gobbapalooza are a great screen because they're not a unit. So you could just like put them in positions where you could just kind of like screen off a section and you have to target them individually. And we all know what it's like splitting attacks half the time.
Totally.
You know, nothing happens. So yeah, for looking at them like that instead of like, oh, I'm expecting these to do something. Too much.
One model screen that you have to stop outside of 3 inches. Yeah. No, it's a good idea. Cool. Okay. Well, so how should we work this? Do you guys want to go through your like early games and like talk about your strategies and armies and such, or?
I mean, you can just do it. I mean, I don't want to go into like a huge deep dive into it. I can just give like an overview.
Yeah. Like let's. Yeah. Okay.
All right, Matthias, you just do a run through of your game 1 to 3, and then I'll do a run through Mega Man 3.
Perfect.
Like just surface level.
So, Kipper's Melee had 42 people total, I think, when all the dust settled. So there was a good-sized tournament, just as an overview. I will start by saying that the tournament was generally full of a lot of different armies that, were a lot more fun, and a lot of players that were looking for a lot more fun. So it's not a hyper-competitive environment to get into, which meant that the army I brought was very much so posed to do well against a lot of these unfortunate people who I was about to stomp the fun out of.
Aww.
Now, what I brought was, I did bring a Kronspine because I'm a degenerate. And I need a Kronspine to deal with Kronspine, so once the Kronspine is gone, I can stop using my Kronspine, and then we'll be good. And then I'll never have to think about it again. But I had Thanquol on Bone Ripper with his usual shenanigans. Warpnaw Verminlord, which is the Forge World Verminlord, who is dirt cheap because GW forgot about them, so they're kind of a good take.
Yeah.
Then the Kronspine and Triple Warp Lightning Cannon, as we were talking about a little earlier.
And you also had on Thanquol, you had 2 warp fire throwers and 2 bashy bashes.
Yep.
Yeah.
In case anyone is curious, it is the 2-2 setup, and then Skitterly. Yeah, and then just some clan rats and expert conquerors, the screens and objective cappers and everything. But for my games, game 1 was against none other than Team US member Matt Beasley.
Nice.
With
He did rank 4th in the USA right now.
Ranked 4th in the on ITC rankings, who shot himself in the foot as hard as he possibly could by taking Cruel Boys without a Kron spine, no crag, no.
What a
nothing.
hero!
Yeah, and that was a crazy game 1 because it's a very good player with a very bad army. I have to give him props. Yeah, it was very amazingly painted for sure. He's a great opponent. I always love playing against him. Always a high-level game, and any chance that I can get to play against him is great. So I wasn't going to complain about having to fight him. He did his best to put up a fight, and you know what? There are definitely, if dice went a lot further in his favor, well, a good amount further in his favor, he could have beaten me probably. So Cruel Boy's definitely a threat in the tournament, but for the most part, I won an important priority roll. There was a turn where I took 14 damage on the Kron spine and then rolled a 16 and just ignored it.
Wow.
So there was a few things that went in my favor that game that just, put the nail in the coffin for him. Put it from fighting on the back foot to there's not really anything you can do to come back from this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good game overall, and covered in mud is really difficult to deal with when you have traditional shooting that can't deal with it.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah.
Props to him for keeping it close. My game 2 was against, let's see if I can get his name real quick. Chris Breakfield, I believe? Yeah. He brought Soulblight Gravelords, and by his own admission, he was one of the newer people to AoS and newer guy. First time I'd met him. He's a great opponent, good person, good game. But yeah, I mean, there's some mean things you can do if you roll well with Warp Lightning Cannons turn 1.
What dynasty did he bring?
Oh, he brought Virkos. So
Nice.
He had Belladama, Radikar, Avengo Lord, Corpse Cart, 20 Skellies, 20 Wolves, 10 Wolves. And then, Radikar summons 10 more Wolves. The Vengo Lord had a command trait to summon 5 more Wolves.
Right.
Everything was wolf-themed. He had an Emerald Lifestorm that was wolf-themed. His Bard Skiers were giant wolves. It was cool like that. I love the theming of it.
For sure.
The most Virkos you'll ever see.
I might beat him, but not yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be a fight.
I have plans, but yeah, they're currently after my gifts. Sorry. Yeah, that's a cool list though, and I think I really like Belladama in Virkos. Obviously, she is Virkos, but then she gets to re-roll her casting, and yeah. Did he have a spell portal?
Nope.
Okay.
Just the life swarm.
That's quite good with Belladama. You can.
Yeah, Liking Curse is a powerful spell. I feel like that's where a lot of her power lies.
Yeah.
But that's why I have Thankwall. Just no spells. No thank you. I'm good.
Nice. For sure.
Yeah. The start of the game, I took first and Warp Lightning Cannon off Radikar before he ever got to do his summon. And that's always pretty rough to start off the game in.
Did it take you all 3 Warp Lightning Cannons to do that?
No, it took me 2, but the third one did nothing afterwards. Usually it's always 2 will do the work and then 1 does nothing, which is why you take 3.
Yeah,
you got to get those averages out right.
Very true.
Matt said she did a good job of putting him under pressure for a man distributed angles at the same time. Great win.
Nice.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Matt and Madeline. That was my game 2 against Chris Breakfield. Some good old zombies, or skellies and wolves. Mostly wolves, to be fair.
Yeah.
My game 3, which was the last one for day 1, was against Fire Slayers. This was Tanner. He brought his Fire Slayers, and I this was one of the armies that I loved the look of. He had 3 Magma Dross, 1 with a priest on top and 2 with suns on top. The suns were bounty hunters. Then he had just some Volkites, min squad of Volkites, min squad of Hearthguard, a Kronspine, and a general priest on foot. What I loved about the Magma Dross, though, is 1 was blue, 1 was green, 1 was red. So he had a Charmander, a Squirtle, and a Venusaur Magma Draw. And like Venusaur was the stompy one, Squirtle was the minus damage one with the hard shell, and then Charmander was the bonus to flame breathing one. It was great.
Now
so they all had their
genetic
mount traits.
My son would know what all of those things are, but unfortunately,
oh come on!
I know that they're Pokemon. I don't know which ones are which though.
Yeah, they all get their, but they all had their bonus mount traits.
Fire dragon.
There you go. Yeah,
he's the blue guy, right?
Yeah. And Bulbasaur is the cute one with the seed on his back. Bulbasaur.
Are you writing this down, Rob?
No. I have my own guilty pleasures. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great game. He's a good opponent. Yeah. Our Kronspines walked within or charged within melee range of each other, but just had more important things to fight. So we just kind of like, hey, John, or hey, Jim, hey, Steve, and then they just went on their separate ways afterwards. Although mine died first. But yeah, that was an interesting game. My cannons didn't do a lot of work, and my Kronspine failed his rolls, whereas his passed his rolls for not de-leveling, which just meant I had to spread out and scatter like rats in sunlight and run away onto the objectives and just hold on tight.
You did that very well against Andy, in the Archeon game. So
yeah, it's a pretty standard concept. Like if you're on the back foot and you have mobility, you just want to spread out and hold on to whatever points you can and deny. You just play entirely points. You can't deal with the hammers really anymore. It was a very close game though.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he dropped a few battle tactics here and there, or most of the battle tactics actually. Unfortunately for him, Expert Conqueror's Clan Rats are pretty good, but I dropped pretty much all scoring turns 4 and 5, but it turned out I won by 2 points. Just had enough to squeak out there.
Oh, so it was a really close game then.
What was your grand strategy, by the way?
My grand strat is take what's theirs, which is have more in their deployment at the end of the game than they do.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's no... But yeah, it was a close game for sure. And I was
that one really sucks for one of the scenarios.
Oh, that was on Realmstone Cache too. Yeah,
Realmstone Cache.
So that was what made it rough.
It's that tiny little deployment zone. That was awful.
Yeah.
Did you just put some? What do you call it? Did you put a Nahole in the deployment?
I did put a Nahole in his deployment. By the end of the game, my only 2 things alive were the Engineer and Thankwall, and they were both in his deployment. But he just ran back with 2 other things and denied me the strat. It was. Fair. So I did drop the tactic at the end, or the grand strat at the end, but I had barely enough points to keep ahead.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So my first 3 games was I ended up with it was like a destruction day. So the first one I had, because there was like a lot of destructions.
Although it's BC. This is not unusual.
Yeah. So game 1 was against Cameron with ogres. They had like a Frostlord, Slaughter Marcher, Butcher, but then he had like 8, 4, 4, and 4 lead belchers. Like nice. A wall of lead belchers and then 3 gorges. So he gave me first turn, so I was like shuffled up, put Mystic Shield on the Trogs and stuff. And he just kind of like pushed forward, unloaded for everything, and killed 1 squig.
Oh my gosh. They're so because they hit on 4s when they're shooting, right? So it's so swingy.
And then he charged him in. And he failed to charge with 2 of his gorges, but he got 1 into Dobby. But only did a couple of wounds on Dobby, and Dobby kind of just slapped him back and killed him. Because the gorges have only got like a 5-up save, I think. And Dobby has no rend, but some of his attacks do 2 damage, so I just, managed to kill him off. But I can't remember what he attacked with first. I think it was the Stonehorn onto a unit of Trogs. I think I killed one or two, but it then meant that the unit of 6 trogs that were now against 8 lead belchers got to hit first and just deleted the unit in one shot, like because of expert conquerors. I'm not
bounty hunters.
Bounty hunters, yeah. And the +1 from Dobby, I also it just deleted them. Which then from that point kind of just gave me the leg up for the rest of the game. So rather than try and because I got the turn next, so he best stayed ever his Stonehorn. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go kill everything else. So I just left the trolls in combat with him, and then just proceeded to run around and kill the rest of his army. So by the kind of end of turn 3, it was all he had left was a Stonehorn, and I was on all the points and burning them and everything. So we kind of just walked it through the last 2 things, where it's like, okay, you're gonna go down and kill them and score that one, and the next turn you can go over there and kill that one. Meanwhile, I've burnt the rest, and I was already up by so many points that because it's either that or he tried to chase after either my squigs on one corner with the dire brute, the other corner was the 6 Trogos, and then the bottom left corner was the 24 squigs. And so you can either go after those, or you can go after these 2 heroes over here and kill them. So he just did that, and that was the end of that game.
Squigs are hard to take out because of their wounds. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I'd already taken out kind of the things that were more of a threat.
Yeah.
Like you could put the Stonehorn into him and do a lot of damage, but I'll just run away and keep running away if I need to, or whatever. Game 2 was against Scott Frederick. He was the one we talked about his list. It was the Sharknado.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that game was super tight. So obviously gave me turn 1. Then his turn 1, he just smashed into my whole army because he had the thing where he could give D3 units high tide. So obviously rolled the 6 to 3 units got high tide, and just proceeded to punch me really hard in the face. So then I just went around just kind of holding the stuff down with the trogs in the middle while everything else kind of ran out to try and cap points. To the point of where he kind of had to pull his king out and his last 2 eels because they were just getting destroyed. And then, so he kind of talked it through where he's like, okay, I should just run around and shoot you and score objectives. And I was looking and going, yeah, that's one option. And then he went for the option of just keep trying to attack me in combat, which lost in the game. I only won by 1 point. But if he had kept going in, then did Dobby ever win one of the claws? What's this?
It makes sense. It makes sense if he does. Another man after my own heart, playing IDK and just wanting to kill things. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then after the game, he kind of felt it was. I love Scott. I've had him on Twitter for years, and it's the first time we got to play.
What's his name?
Scott Frederick.
Nice, cool.
He hasn't played much with that army.
They're a hard army to play now.
Yeah.
With that list. So, I've never rolled a 3 on my high tide abilities, so. Okay.
Oh, we have spam bot.
Yeah.
Spam bot. In the YouTube spam.
Spam bot, you're the worst.
Spam bot. Get on that.
Nice.
So yeah, that was my game 2. So we, I've said afterwards, if you'd kind of just avoided combat for the rest of the game and just shot me, then you would have most likely won because there's nothing I could do if you're just running around and keeping out of range because he's got movement 14 or something on those shots.
Yeah.
So I was my fastest thing is 6. It's I'm not keeping up with you.
Thanks, Alex, by the way.
So then, I was kind of riding out from that, went into game 3, where I ended up with Zane's Giants. So you had a Mega, 3 Stompers, 3 Man Crushers, 3 Man Crushers, and 3 times 1 Man Crushers. And the 2 units of 3 Man Crushers were in Bounty Hunters. So not a great thing to look forward to facing. Again, because I have 10 drops most of the time I'm going first. So, I just don't push too far, just shuffle up a bit, make a defensive line, because I was I know I'm going to get charged. And then he just kind of runs forwards, because all his stuff can run and charge if it's within 12 of the thing. And just throw all their rocks at Dobby and take him down to 1. It's crap. Poor Dobby's just getting brutalized. But he did target my my unit of 24 squigs on the right, and kind of I can't remember what it was. Some tactic was killing them or something, and he failed. I don't know what it was. Maybe it wasn't that tactic. He did something else.
Maybe
But
it's
anyway, he
this
failed
one's
to kill
mine.
him, and they held him up for a turn.
Okay.
And then it was just kind of like a fight fest where it was his Gatebreaker and the 2 units of 3, just trading blows with my 2 units of 6 with the Grots in the middle, to the point where I managed to kill both groups of 3. And then his Mega was kind of sitting there, and like I had like 2 Troggoths left in one unit and 1 left in the other, and both of them were like on a handful of wounds. Meanwhile, I've got like 24 squigs on the left flank. 12 had just respawned, because I finally managed to roll one. And my characters were still alive, and the Dire Brute was on half wounds, because he had been slogging out to finish off the unit of 3 on the right flank. And I was looking at the table, it's like, okay, all I need to do is just run away. Just run away, just go and cap the points, and just the Gatebreaker is going to chase stuff and kill it, but I should be able to just keep going. And I was like, oh, or we could just, no, hang on a second, let's look at this. So I was looking at the table, and I was like, okay, if this, and this, and this goes right, we can kill him, and it'll be hilarious. But it's all got to work to work. So at this point, I think he was on like 12 wounds or something like that, the Mega. So I roll a moon, and I roll a 1, and he takes D3 mortal wounds, so he takes 3 mortal wounds. I'm like, okay, good start, that's good. Okay, keep this going. So then I rolled Great Green Spite, and did 5 mortal wounds to him. I thought, okay, this is good. I then rolled Itchy Nuisance, which he'd been holding he'd done the Dispel, Heroic Willpower, but I rolled a double 6, and then also being Light of the Bad Moon, so that's a 13.
Yeah.
So he's now Light of the Bad Moon, so he's Itchy Nuisance, so he can't.
He's fighting at the end of the combat phase, right?
Yeah. I forgot what Kid Strong is trying to win.
You fool!
And then, so I was like, okay, cool, we're going all in. So I threw the Troggoth in, the Dire Brute, sorry, because the Troggoths were dead by this point. They'd been finished off. The Dire Brute goes in, the 12 squid go in, and my general goes in as well, because like he's on his squid going, if it comes down to that last wound because he's itching instance, I need everything I can get. So I start off with the Dire Brute. He rolls a 6 for the damage, so he takes 3 mortal wounds, has 10 dice, ends up doing 17 wounds to the Mega Gargant, because it's Ren 3, but I also had the Moon Face within range as well. So it's Ren 2, Ren 3 with the Moon Face. Wow. So he's only got like 2 or 3 wounds left. So my general goes, I've got this. And just kind of like stabs him with his pokey stick, gets an extra wound, and then the squig finishes them off. So it's like my general's just like standing there going, yeah, look what I did. Meanwhile, like all these squigs are still surrounding him. And then that was it. And then it was a case of everything just kind of like spread out and finish his last guy off, and that was game by that point.
I'll be right back, guys. I heard a loud bang. I'm just going to go check on it, make sure everyone's okay.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, that was us both end of day 1. Both
3-0.
Yeah. So yeah, and then do you want to go into your game 4 then?
Sure. Yeah. So
I'm gonna look up Dobby because I want to see if I am right. And I was not using Ren 1 on him.
Yeah. Last night with the or that night on Saturday when Andy posted the list ahead of, or a matchups ahead of time.
Oh yeah.
He didn't. So there was a lot of anguish
Sunday
over what
morning.
we were going to be matching on the morning. That was a lot of great consternation spent onto that, but turned out, who did I end up playing against for game 4?
I see my chair was phasing in and out of reality while I was gone.
In the novel. That's right. I played Sylvaneth. So our good friend and clubmate Eric, who was doing Sylvaneth, had won his 2 games and then lost his last one on day 3 against Jared Rushton in his Alarial Sylvaneth, which was purportedly an amazingly close game where Sylvaneth v. Sylvaneth was running against each other. Trees were flying, branches were breaking.
I think Eric said it's probably one of the best and closest games he had, where there was 2 points where either of them could have won or lost.
Yeah.
And I think it came down to Alarial coming back alive after dying, and then he got the double, so he managed to then heal her.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was that amazing game, and Jared won that game, beating Eric, or not thankfully, but I guess
yeah.
someone had to win it, right? But
Suck
that
it,
meant
Eric.
I didn't have to play Eric. It meant I
Yeah.
got to play someone who isn't a club mate.
Nice, that's true.
Which is the nice part.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing him day 2, game 1, or round 4. He had, like we said, Alariel, a Spirit of Durthu with the plus D3 attacks artifact, a Warsong Revenant with the Spell Singer so he can cast through trees, and Arcane Tome for an extra cast, something like that. And then he had Tree Revs, Dryads, and the Spiteswarm Hive. His list isn't actually posted on BCP, so I have to go off of memory for that. But it's Alariel and Durthu are the big hammers, and then just a Warsong for spell support, and then just stuff. So the scenario was Silksteel Nests, I believe. No, that was game 1.
No, it's the one where it's the Plies Galate.
Oh yes, Prize of Galate.
Yeah.
That's right. So there was objectives in the middle, activating them one at a time. He's said it was his first tournament, which meant that I was also not taking for granted the fact that he also 3-0'd. So going into this.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Right. So you got to keep on your toes. He did misdeploy the start of the game, though, by placing the Warsong Revenant in Thanquol's Unbind range and also in range of my Warp Lightning Cannons. So I just placed my things there, and he's like, well, now I have to go first because otherwise bad things are going to happen to this poor Warsong. And so he goes first. That's the artifact that Warsong had. He had the Acorn of Ages for a free tree. So Acorns of Ages places a free tree, and then goes to cast a spell to make another tree through the tree he just placed. Thanquol fails to stop the spell. Then he does his Warsong Bomb through that new tree. Thanquol fails to dispel that one too. And then Spirit of Durthu comes roaring in and smacks Thanquol, who is just within 3 inches of my front line, in order to be in Unbind range, and survives on a single wound.
Whoa!
So Thanquol's barely alive.
Whoa!
Durthu screws off back into his corner like Sylvaneth liked to do. But he's got 13 out of 14 damage on him, but he heals D3 at the end of every combat. Yeah. So I'm like, he's alive. That's all I care about. He'll just start healing from here. I activated an objective on the other side of the board because I was going second, which meant he jumped some tree revs over there. So what I did was I healed D3. I heroic recovery. Luckily for me, he both survived, and I got every single heroic recovery on Thanquol. So he was just 2d3 healing a turn. But he summoned... Thanquol's, barely alive at this point, so I have him summon the Laoshan the Soulseeker, and, all right, you can't deal with Alariel and whatnot right now, so you're going to go deal with those tree revenants on the other side of the board and go heal up. And when you realize what you're done and you're feeling a little better, guy, then you can come back over and help the real fight. So that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I just threw up clan rats. My cannons were pretty much all dead by turn 1. He summoned the bow hunters with Alariel summon once per game. Popped one cannon. Another was on 1 wound left, and then another was way off nowhere, but it jumped through a knothole to be relevant. But he also, Alariel speared off my engineer with 1 hit because it's 6 damage flat. My engineer has 5 wounds, so he just insta-give
he's on a 5-up, so yeah.
Yeah, I finally scoured him in the hopes that I could add on all-out defense if he would roll the 5-up, but no, he became a shish kebab, which meant my cannons were only doing d6 damage on average. But yeah, my cannons did nothing that game other than soak up a bunch of shooting, which is still somewhat valuable, right? And forced him to take turn 1.
For sure.
I grabbed the first objective turn 1, and then he won the roll-off. He was pushing in. Durthu comes in again, smacks clan rats because I was able to just put out enough board presence that the Warpnaw wasn't near any trees. Thanquol was safe. And the Kronspine was just hanging around, and he didn't really want to go into the Kronspine, I suppose. So he hit clan rats. wiped out the unit cleanly because it's Durthu at full wounds. He's going to eviscerate 20 bodies. And finished off the rest of my cannons. But what that meant was Thankol was just sitting off at the side still, able to heal. The Wartmaw was still online. The Kronspine was still at 2 wounds. And that's when I had my bottom of turn 2 and a double into turn 3. And I was able to just clear out all of his Kurnoth bow hunters, all of his screens, everything except for Alariel, the Warsong, and Durthu. But I just had them hemmed into the corner where he started the game. And this entire time, I'm activating, or the objectives are being activated, and I'm just throwing clan rats on all of them. So he's stuck with the option of either trying to deal with my hammers or trying to actually jump onto my objectives and start scoring. And he ends up deciding to go for my Kronspine with Alariel, who he gets 18 damage on really easily. Wow. But he didn't shoot at the Kronspine, so he had to charge into combat to get him de-leveled. And then my Kronspine, just still at level 2 because he hasn't dropped yet, turns around and one-shots Alariel.
What?
Just eats her entirely in one go, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So then all that work he just put in to de-level the Kronspine, I ate a monster, so go right back up a level, and now he's down in Alariel on his turn.
Oh, that's brutal.
And that was really, yeah, that's what did him in, because my Wartmaw was just, didn't fight a single combat other than maybe a screen yet, and was just standing watching all this go on, and then in like turn 4, he's like, oh, I'm by the trees now, and then went up and just punked the Warsong because he was left alone the entire time.
So what, you teleported him through the Nahal?
No, I skitter leaped her up, just way up into the backboard somewhere nearby, just ate some dryads.
From Thankful.
Yeah, Thankful just skitter leaped them up.
That makes sense.
And so, by that point, with Alariel gone, the 2 hammers stuck in a corner, but I have my Wartmaw there, and Thankful was healthy, so he boated back over on Lao Shan, and I was able to just clear down there. So it was just a matter of taking up the board presence so he couldn't jump around freely, and then, you know, the Kronspine does the thing the Kronspine does sometimes, and just eats Alariel in one go, and that typically turns in your favor pretty effectively.
That's awesome. The was his name Jared?
Yes, Jared Brushkin.
Where is he from? He seems like a fantastic player.
I think he's from Vancouver, he said.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some people that didn't know about the VC Discord or anything, so we're trying to get them on and out of it and stuff.
I'm in too many Discords. My apologies. Yeah. My hat's off to Jared though. Like first tournament, he's obviously like knows what he's doing. Like, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
His list design was good. He made sure to have a little battle mage in there as well to double up the Spite Swarm for.
It came 10th
extra.
As well.
Yeah.
Wow. Did he go 4-1 or 3-2?
No, he went 3-2.
3-2, nice.
So he must have lost to whoever his last game was.
Good on him though. Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, yeah, I remember Eric, I can't remember if we said this or not, but Eric was saying it's one of the funnest games he's ever had of Warhammer. And he lost, so like that says a lot about him. Awesome. Okay. So I guess, oh wait, and then, Dale, have you talked about your 4th game?
Yeah, so my game 4 is we're looking at in the morning of who I could potentially get. And we came across this Sylvaneth list. I was like, oh god, Sylvaneth. Okay, cool. Striking Faith, yay. And it was like, okay, this is a weird one. So it was Dufu, a Tree Ancient, and 3 Tree Lords, all with Bounty Hunters, and Kronspine.
That's similar to like, well, not the Kronspine, but Eric was taking Tree Lord list before.
Yeah.
It's
so
quite
3 Tree Lords,
did he have
Tree Lord Ancient.
And did he have it in the season that gives him the 6-up?
And the Dwindling?
It gives him the 6-up against mortals and like.
No, so he had it in Oakbrow. So basically, they ignore damage like for their like steps, and he's in the Dwindling because he gets to re-roll cast a spell and unbind. I think.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Because he had the Spite Swarm Hive, so he's trying to do the Spite Swarm Hive trick.
Got it.
So yeah, so he obviously gives me first. I kind of like, because he's like got his whole army in one corner surrounded by trees and a Kronspine, and then he's got like 2 trees on the other far left side. So I kind of like went mostly in the middle, and then I managed to teleport some squigs up, and I teleport them right up to the first objective which he'd activated, which was the far right one nearest him. And I just kind of did them as a screen, just like as a crescent, being like, okay, we're gonna hold the line kind of thing. So I get 4 points, and then in his turn he, I can't remember what battle tactic it is. Didn't have these written down. So it was to do with either killing the unit or taking the point from me. So he moves everything down and, like, you know, gets ready to do his thing. But I redeploy from Kronspine, and I move 4 inches kind of back and angular. So he only actually manages to charge in with Kronspine and the 1 treatment, because everything else is now at range, and fails to kill them. So they manage to, like, hold them in place, which is great, because it means, because the point is, I've got, you know, extra conquerors on them. I keep the point, so he scores 0 points. So I'm like, great, good start. Okay, so then we roll for turn, and I get it. But I'm looking at the board going, okay, all this stuff's over here. I'm here. If I make that the proving ground, if he kills the squigs, he can't take it. So I give him the turn, and then I make my objective the thing.
The proving grounds?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then again, so on his turn, he can't remember what battle tactic he picks, but he only gets 2 points. Oh yeah, and the way he set it up, he, like, was summoning it like the turn before. I was like, I think he's gonna try and, like, charge in my flank or something with Dufru. So I finest hour my Diabrute, and then in that turn he does. He pops the tree up, runs Dufru out to kill the Diabrute. But because I finest houred him and all up defense, he managed to get 1 of the blows through. So he takes 6 wounds, but he doesn't manage to get the other through and kill him, because he only needs like 2 swords to go through. He only has 12 wounds and he's dead.
Yeah.
So he fails to assassinate him. So he vanishes back through. And then Kronspine and the things finish the squigs off. But again, because the point is the battle proving grounds, he only gets the 2 points. So my turn, I push up the trogs so they can charge in and kind of, like, just move up into position. But also, I go for Desecrate the Lands and just, like, use a 6 to run the Git straight up to kind of cap the tree, but also, like, start getting into position for the next turn. And then, like, I move some squigs up on the other flank, the left flank, just to get kind of, like, brace for things, while leaving 6 trogs back at home base, because it's like, as soon as I move something away from there, he's going to, you know, pop something up there, teleport in, destroy the shrine kind of thing. So the trogs go in with the Diabrute, who manages to heal some wounds back through heroic healing, and just the 4+ heals them back. Charge in. I managed to get a 12 for the trogs, so they go, like, all the way up into the treeman that's there and the person. Like, totally, like, okay, I'm out of the light of the bad moon, but fuck it, it's worth it to, like, to hold them up there. And the Diabrute goes in as well, just to kind of make sure we get the damage down. And we also we itchy nuisance Kronspine. So we managed to get, like, a chunk of wounds on the tree. And we de-level Kronspine. I take a couple of wounds back, but they're good. So I get 5 points. The next turn he wins priority and takes it. So again, because he's like, okay, I need to push, I need to start getting some points back. But in taking it, it then meant, okay, I'm now going to activate the middle objective because I already have my gits there. You have nothing really in range to threaten them. He goes for, I think it's attacking Dobby to take out Dobby, and he kind of, like, does this weird thing where I'm thinking he's setting up to get the Tree Lord, a Tree Lord in and Dufru, but he ends up teleporting Dufru to the other side to attack the Trogs, which means he charges into Dobby and doesn't kill him. Oh, gaining momentum, that was it. And I think he also forgot that gaining momentum, you had to have more objectives as well.
Yeah.
So, and he just didn't do it. So the Trogs, like, again, hold up Kronspine and thing. And because of how I positioned the gits, I had like 6 of them on the side of the objective. So like they get the Trogs down to 2 people, but they then have enough people on the objective because they're expert conquerors to cap it. Meanwhile, I have my Trogs had moved up to cap the middle objective, and I also had the bottom one. So it just meant, again, he got 0 points in his turn, which then meant in my turn, I'd already pretty much capped them all, so I just moved some stuff around, healed some stuff out, killed Dufru by sheer luck, because Dufru, because he had charged in, he put himself out of position to be able to teleport back. And he took some wounds back from the Trogs, but then I managed to get, I think, 4 or 5 off from Great Green Spite on him. And then the Trogs kind of filled. Oh, no, an Arcane Bolt. I chucked an Arcane Bolt on him to finish him off. And then I got my 5 points. Again, he wins priority, takes the turn. I activate the Sulfur one. And by this point, it's kind of like, I'm just going to keep doing this and just bouncing around and scoring things. I go and try and kill his Tree Lord Ancient with some squigs, but that doesn't go very well. He like all out defense, then I think he best date ever or something. So he's on like a 1-up save, and my squigs just like flop. But that's fine because it's holding him up away from objectives. I then make a clutch roll where I had 3 Trogs left, and I was like, you know what? I got the spare CP. I'll just roll it. And I roll 2 6s out of the 3 dice to get 2 whole Trogs back, which now, because of the being able to put them down, kind of loop around the side of the objective, so he just can't get onto the objective. So even if he just charge in, unless you can kill and break through, he's not getting to touch the objective. And then that was really it. Like the last turn, it was just kind of like mopping up the stuff I could kill, and it was like 22-7 because it just kept denying him the objectives.
Nice.
So super like good game, and it was literally just a case of like retreating stuff, charging stuff, moving things to go, because yeah, it's like the first time just being able to use the we actually talked about it afterwards, and it's like if you just pushed, like if you just like had them all in one corner or something and just ran at me with all of them and just got all into combat in 1 or 2 turns, you would have chewed forever, because his trees were bounty hunters as well, so this like could cut through the twigs and stuff.
And they're hard to kill too.
Yeah, but because he was trying to do this kind of KG in and out thing and stuff, it just didn't work against me. So yeah, and then that was that one 4-0. I'm completely happy by this point because I'd only 3-2'd with Kragnos when I took Gits. So like being without that, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. If I 4-1 now, it's great. That's fine. But I could 5-0 until I get Matthias. And we're looking at it at lunchtime. I'm like looking at this last results coming in. It's okay, so at the minute it's me and Matthias, and it all depends on this other score. So as long as he can score big, then I won't have him, and I'll have this other guy, and everything in the ball. And no, I ended up with Matthias. And it was also one of those games where, do you know when you have a game and your dice go bad, and you can get like a bit sad or frustrated about it? Because I'd already resigned to the fact of I was going to die.
Yeah.
I had, when those dice happened, I kind of laughed about it. So there's at one point, I think turn 2, where my Trogs are both in combat with his middle board line, and Thankful's just behind him. I'm like, okay, if I can crush them and get the turn next, I can get all those Trogs into Thankful. I can like smash his teeth in. You know, I've got the squigs going down, you know, into Kronspine. I think we de-leveled him that turn. And you know, 5 Trogs get like, I think 6 out of 10 hits, and then I fail all the wounds, all 1s and 2s.
Yeah. All 1s
and they have bounty hunters as well, so all they needed was like 2 or 3 to go through. Wow. And then, you know, great. Yeah, all 1 to 2. I'm like, okay, well, that happened then. Yeah. And there was another point, I can't remember what it was, and I just rolled 4 ones or something. And then Matthias had one as well where I had like a line of Gits near my objective. Just Gits, just the Grots, in a little conga line. And he had like, it was his Vermin Lord with Flaming Mystic Shield on him.
Yeah.
And he just charges into them, like stomps some and stuff. And then he's like, okay, I'm just like, okay, this unit's dead. Like, okay. And he doesn't have much CP left at this point. So he's like, okay, I'm not going to all out attack them. And he rolls his dice, and I think he only gets like 2 or 3 hits.
2 hits, 2 out of 6 hits.
And then he gets double 1 for wounding.
wounding on a 2-up, both of them ones. I was pushing onto your back objective, and I'm like, if I can clear up these grots, I can grab this objective. It'll be great.
Yeah, and it's worth 4 points because of the scenario.
Right.
Yeah. Matthias with his Vermin Lord sexy.
Yeah, yeah. But that's why I said my grots were not intimidated because they have no genitalia, so they just kind of ignore that.
That's right.
But yeah,
it was, for that game.
It was brutal because it's the one where turn 1 you can't score any objectives, except Matthias could because he had a bit of terrain where he could get.
I got my battle tactic. Yeah, but no
so like turn 1 I get nothing, you get 2, but in turn 1 I've just lost my Direbrute and my Marsh Crawler from Warp Lightnings. You did lose a Warp Lightning Cannon, and the other one got down to one.
The first one fires, I roll a 5, and it's supercharged. So I did 3 mortals and blew up the cannon because I got 5 ones on it. And it's like, that's when you get a little bit of hope because it's like, okay, this damage is 3 times.
I was like, oh, okay, that's a good start. Yeah, let's keep that going.
Jeez.
Next one, supercharges, I roll a 3. And I get 9 mortal wounds to perfectly cap off the 12 damage on the Direbrute. And I roll I roll a bunch of ones and I take 7 damage on it.
Whoa!
So it's alive on a single wound. And then I'm like, okay, I guess that'll do. And then the last one, third one, I'm like, all right, Dobby has 12 wounds.
Yeah.
All right, here's the 1. And then I just roll it and I get a 1.
Wow.
And then just to top it all off, I take 0 damage from that roll. They were all 2-ups.
Dang.
Like, great. One of them is always firing hot.
Yeah.
No damage.
What was the other one that happened?
Well, you've got like a 50-50 shot in rolling. Like, if you have 3 cannons, you got a 50-50 shot of rolling at least 1-1.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. On average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the rest of the game seemed to be Kronspine, Finequill, and everything else kind of. Because after that, the Warp Lightning Cannons didn't do much. Because I killed one of them in my turn because I managed to get within 12 and throw a rock at it.
Yeah, the one with 1 wound left.
So that killed that. But then, because I couldn't really get any magic off because like Fanquill's like just such a high thing to the spell. So he's just like pushing forwards my stuff, and I'm just trying to get whatever points I could. So I think I managed to get like 3 out of the 5 battle tactics and stuff, and try to get, because I was like, okay, so even though I've lost this, every point I can get will matter to the final
score,
kind of top kind of thing. So I just about get my grand strategy, and then he just like teleports over with someone, just like kills him. It's like, okay, well.
Who'd you teleport?
The Vermin Lord just hopped over, but the one cannon that survived the rest of the game didn't have an engineer nearby because I supercharged a spell with him just because I could, and just instantly exploded. Dale unbinds it from me. I take D6 mortal wounds, roll the 6, and the engineer just pops himself.
Oh, shit.
So this one cannon's just kind of on its own now. It's like, don't worry, guys, I got this. And then it shot off your Mad Cat Shaman.
Why did you overcharge your Warp Lightning spell?
Because at this point, it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, the comedy thing of like, this game's his, no matter what really happens at this point. So it's kind of like a more silly thing.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I literally did the same thing in like a battle report earlier on against Natasha. I was like, if either one of my bombardiers survives, I win. And I'm like, okay, well, overcharging his Doom Rocket, rolled a 1, he dies, and then I'm like, the smart thing here is to just not overcharge, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. I roll a 1 and he dies too. It's crazy. Yeah. I regret nothing.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I regret nothing. This is how it must be played. Well, I mean, it's everyone seemed to have a fantastic time. I heard nothing but great things about the tournament.
We had some great things. Like we didn't. Well, it was this. Alex said it wasn't enough for him to win. He wanted to knock Dale off the podium spot. Yeah, totally. So there was one point where we discussed this on the very on the way back. Because at this point we didn't know Eric. We knew Eric had won, and we just found out that the other guy had won as well. So no one else was going to 5-0, only Matthias. So it was his to win. But we didn't know. So at the end of the event, Eric only beat me by 1 point. to get best overall. So if I had just got that grand strategy through, or one of the other things through, which I was mercilessly stomped on, I could have.
Feel a little mad about that one.
Yeah, but like going into it at the end, like it was me or Eric for best overall, and like we said to each other, I really hope you get it because, like, you know, I don't think it's had a best overall yet, and we haven't spoken about it in the shower yet.
Not
But
at a Sparkle Party. I don't think.
Yeah, at Sparkle Party last month, I got best overall for daughters, so it's kind of like, that's fine. If you get it, you get it. Whatever.
At the last tournament, you got at last Kippers a year ago. You got best overall and beat him by like 1 point, I think. So it's like the perfect revenge.
Yeah, he beat me in the game, but then I won best overall.
Yeah, he beat you. That's right. He played in grand finals and he still didn't get it. Yeah. That's pretty fun.
So Eric paid me off for that one.
Yeah.
He told me to give me a 20 to stump you as hard as possible.
Maybe Eric should play Skaven. I feel like
maybe
he'd fit in well.
There you go.
So we won't keep everyone too much longer. But like,
the one thing I was going to say, was so we didn't have any drops at all over the weekend. So obviously we had a load of drops before the event because of like real life stuff, Alex, COVID for people, this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like usually on an event, you usually have some people drop our stuff, and we didn't. We didn't have any drabbers. There was a couple of people got some rules wrong, but it was like changes from editions and new players missing things and stuff, so they were discussed. But yeah, it's like all in all, it was a super great weekend. A lot of people were super pumped afterwards.
Nice.
So I know Eric was now really keen to start coming to some of the Seattle ones.
Yeah. I think Alex is talking about it too. Mason, before I forget, drop the link to your guys' podcast. Dale was saying you guys are going to start at 9 p.m. So like in about 50 minutes or so. Drop it in there and I'll post it in the show
I dropped
notes.
it at the start, but
just send it to me whichever way you want, and I'll post it in the description, and I'll try and pin a comment. So what were your guys' like takeaway from the event overall? What did you learn? You know, we've come this far. Matthias, you want to start? Like,
take a Kronspine, you'll win.
Take a Kronspine and win.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a big reason they're nerfing it, and they have to be nerfing it in the future.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. And Thor said it well. ABO, always be overcharging. That's true.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just doing it wrong. So take a Kronspine. Okay. Well, what would your tips be then if they nerf Kronspine, which it seems likely because they kind of said they were going to?
I mean, you probably don't need to take it anymore if they nerf it and it's out of the game. I just hope that they nerf bounty hunters as well, because then you're going to see it. Skaven is suffering because they're very much so a bodies army. Yeah. Bounty hunters is screwing that over.
Gits too. And ogres.
Yeah, Gits as well.
Ogres are about to get a new book, so like if their basic gluttons go up to 5 wounds, then they don't care. They're laughing. But then you've still got these other armies like Cruel Boys, Skaven, Gits, like that are already suffering, you know. And then
it's also like one of the battle tactics in the core, like the General's Handbook, is literally like, I think there's 2 where you've got to do something to a veteran unit with a veteran unit.
Yeah.
And it's like, no one bloody has veteran.
No one.
Like,
why would
in all the games I played, I think I was. and game 1. Yeah. Like all the other one is like, oh, you have Tree Lords that are bounty hunters. Well, that's good, isn't it? That's really nice, you know. Or like Mega Stomper giants and stuff. I'm like, this is not what bounty hunters was supposed to be.
No, it's not. And like, unless you're taking in certain unless you're taking like Spider Riders in Gits, which are terrible. They're the worst unit in the book, arguably. Yeah. Or like Rat Ogres for Skaven, and not taking any Clan Rats. There's no way of avoiding it. But then you also, you don't have any Galatian veterans to use for battle tactics and such. So yeah, I would love it if they made a change. Like, keep bounty hunters, just change it from 1 damage to +1 to hit or something like that. Like, I don't care. But
yeah,
I heard so the things we like, again, rumors is that Kronspine's going up by 150 and Bounty Hunters is going to be +1 to wound instead of some damage.
Perfect.
Which again, that's fine. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. No, that would be chef's kiss. That would be absolutely perfect.
But it is a thing, is like when your armies like ogres and gits and stuff, where it's like you have terrible armor saves. You have like your strength is your armor is your wounds and your bodies.
Yeah.
And then everyone suddenly has these things with no repercussions. It's like, you know, it's at least like with Squigs, if I've
got a 3-drop instead of 1-drop to do it.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, giving all these things, like having these extra damage when they're already really good, it's just dumb. It's just annoying. And like for me, the Kronspine is like, if I know Kronspine's a thing in the game, I'm just bored of seeing it. I've literally, I was talking about in the ferry, like this tournament I faced 2 of them, and the last tournament I faced 3 of them on day 1, and the tournament before that it was 2, and it's just like, they're so dull. Like my daughters have no problems with them. Gits have more of a problem, but I can deal with them.
Daughters have
right?
Daughters have 1 monster and it's a named character. So.
Oh yeah, but neither of my 2 armies had endless spells or monsters, so it's fine.
Yeah.
They don't go up in levels from my stuff, but it's more of like my daughters can stand in a tree, get -1 damage, and be on like 3. Oh, we got spam bots again.
Yeah.
3/2+ versus with -1 damage or so, and they can just chop it up. Like Trogs can do pretty well against it, but yeah, it's just I want to see people's armies with their models from their armies or allies. I don't want to see every army. And it's the fact that like
armies.
Yeah.
Even if it was just like Destruction got it or someone got it, it's the fact that every single army can take it. And like there's so many armies that don't need it that take it.
Sorry.
Yeah, like and there's nothing like if you're playing in a tournament, you like do whatever you want that you think will be the best result for you. It has nothing to do with the players. Like when we're talking about this, when GW encourages people to take Kronspine and they make it like so that it's so good that like you're like, why wouldn't you take it? It's not the players' like prerogative to regulate this, right? It's but the good news is Games Workshop heard us. They clearly are going to adjust Kronspine. They're clearly going to do something. I haven't heard anything about them touching bounty hunters, but fingers crossed.
Well, I mean, top 3 of the top 4, 3 of them had Kronspine by Kippers.
Oh, for sure.
And but if you look at most events, the top 5 will have 1 or 2 Kronspines usually.
For sure. And Kippers isn't even it's not the most hyper competitive event anyway. But like GW's already said they're going to adjust Kronspine, right? Yep. So the only thing that we haven't heard that they're going to do something about is bounty hunters, and I actually think bounty hunters for me is the biggest problem with the game for me.
The other one,
it's so antithetic.
Yeah, it is. It's literally like it goes against what they're trying to accomplish, which is encourage bodies and yeah.
Supposedly, Arcane Toon's going to be touched as well.
That they did talk about it for sure. Yeah,
because again, like they're so prevalent. It's kind of like what happened with, we're wondering if they'll do it where you just get +1 spell or something, or like it'll only be it won't make you a caster. It'll just give you a
even if it makes you a lore master and you just know all the spells, I actually think that's the best thing because like I'm not gonna take it most of the time then because I guess part of that is just because I don't have great armies for spellcasting. Like, most of my spellers are pretty bad. Oh, great, all 3 Grey Seer spells. Oh.
No,
yeah.
We already talked about the Skaven issues with these spells.
But I mean, like, Soulblight Gravelords, like Kruleboyz aren't... I mean, Kruleboyz actually have a couple of decent ones, but, like, I mean, I'm not casting that with my Swamp Kala Shaman, right? And Gobsprack is already one. He's already a lore master, so...
One of there was 2 Kruleboyz players, and one of them did come second. Like, not overall, but, like, from general.
Yeah.
But they had a Kronspine. So it was literally a Kronspine and 2 units of 9 Bolt Boys. So your Kronspine goes in and he just shoots you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the other thing you could do, too, for Arcane Tome is you could just... It makes someone a caster, but it doesn't it doesn't add a spell if they're already a caster.
Mm.
And then you won't see it nearly as much, right? Although it does go against some weird things like
well, it's like
make
I
a
think the thing is when you
bloodthirster a
give
caster, and you're just like,
yeah,
ew.
it's when you're giving that sort of thing. That's a bit like
yeah, or like a dwarf
flame
lord.
weapon, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can write something thematic and nonsensical, but like,
I mean, they really slapped like Amulet Destiny. You just
Amulet Destiny, they clapped. Yeah. It was crazy.
They could very well make it just a very basic. It could even be like +1 to cast or something. Like it could be.
I might do that to Flaming Weapon too, then.
Yeah, Flaming Weapon I think is too cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be fine with that.
Just make it CV 6 or 7.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely shouldn't be like. Is it a 4 or a 5?
Cast on a
4. It's so dumb for that on a 4. Like.
I mean, but you know what though too? Like, you know, if you're not in unbind range, then that's.
But like, they make that a 4, but I think Levitate's an 8.
I'm not saying it should be a 4. Oh, yeah. Levitate, that's crazy, right? Yeah.
Meet in the middle somewhere. Make them both 6 or something. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I'd be cool with that. Yeah. Be something.
So Sean's saying, I think there's a problem that will always be if the tomb has done
there's
something
always
else.
Like people are always going to min-max. They're always going to go for what's optimal. But like, it's just when things stand out too proud, then you'll see it like just too much. You know?
Okay, so 4 says that I feel like there is no way of getting rid of the tomb, so SOB would have no wizard capability. But that's the point. Like the whole point is, it's kind of like why I not get annoyed with Cronspine. Is like armies are designed to have strengths and weaknesses. So you know, our ogre, giants, mega gargants, they've got like speed, they've got damage output, and they've got a lot of wounds. Yeah. They don't have much armor, and they don't have magic. Yeah. You know, Skaven are like very fragile but high damage. So by suddenly putting a Cronspine in there, you're mitigating their weakness. And you know, it's just kind of like these things are in there for a reason. As soon as you add something that changes the balance of it, then it doesn't make it that army anymore. You kind of take away the inherent weaknesses.
I would like to see. I mean, even if like I said, even if they just change it so you're not adding to wizards that can already cast, or you know, like know all the full lore if you're already a wizard. Like there are times when you will take that. Like in a Nighthaunt army, that actually wouldn't be that bad. Like you put that on. On like the Guardian of Souls. Now he knows all the spells, so it just becomes more of a toolbox sort of situation. But like they've shown to us that they will slap something because they slap the crap out of Amulet of Destiny, and now the only time you see it is when it's like too good, which is on Giants, like or whatever. It's not too good on Giants anymore, but like before it, when it was a 5-up ward, it was too good on Giants, and so yeah, they won't pick on certain armies though. Like they won't do that, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, Chris, like it's the thing to beat. Like if you're like, okay, I put Arcane Tome in, right? And then do I have something that's even better than Arcane Tome? No, which is most of the time you're like, nope, I don't. Okay, just go with Arcane Tome. Or if you have a Warlord Battalion, you're like, okay, I'll take this as well. But yeah.
As Alex said, it's hard to take the tomb because it's the chance of Mystic Shield or Flaming Weapon on most armies. Also, like the Crutch Arcane Bolt or something, or just giving you an extra cast a spell, unbind kind of thing, especially with so many endless spells on. Like I have it on my Gitz army and at the minute it's on my Cauldron just because there are better options, but being able to take Mystic Shield at the minute is kind of a good one to keep.
Well, the other thing too is like, I guess it's there is like, so just to play devil's advocate, right, about Arcane Tome, I agree with you guys. Like I think I've made my point or my opinion perfectly clear, but just to play devil's advocate, I think the good thing, it kind of it's sort of like what Thor said, but a little different. The plus side to having something that's quite strong that everyone can take is it makes the have-nots, it makes them a little bit more level. Whereas, like, because if you have a book that just has trash tier artifacts, you know what I mean? Like Gitz.
It's
yeah. It's like, okay, well now I can do something. like that whole I've got this whole goofy combo where I put Arcane Tome on my Loom Boss on Mangler Squigs, and then he becomes a wizard, so now he can take a Moon Clan wizard artifact only, and now suddenly you have to reroll all successful hits against him, and it's just like,
Matthias was having a look through some of the Gits artifacts and stuff the other day, and he's just like, these are so bad.
They're
like,
so bad.
It's even spells. It's like Call of the Moon, where it's an 8 to cast, and you do D3 mortal wounds, and you get to reroll if it's in the light of the bad moon.
Yeah,
for an 8 to cast. It's just so bad.
It's so bad. But like, I mean, there's a couple of good artifacts. Like one is the one where you, a couple good command traits. But the only good artifact is the Moonface Moppet, and then everyone else is taking. Yeah, like that's the first thing you take, or outside of Arcane Tome, obviously.
But the sad thing about the Moonface Moppet is you can only take it on a Madcap Shaman, and he's so bad.
Yeah, exactly. You can only take it on him because, like, it's... And he's 4 wounds on, like, what, a 5 or 6 up save?
6 up save, no ward save.
But if you're me and you're playing Deepkin, apparently you can't kill him even with a turtle and 2 sharks, so... Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then you're taking choices away from the player. Yeah. Well, add rules that force you to take a certain artifact first. Yeah, I mean, I hear you, and like that is what they were doing in 2nd edition. Mason's talking about like how, like, for example, still in Seraphon, if you want to take the Thunderquake Battalion, then you have to take the Fusel of Conflagration, which is a terrible artifact. Like, it's so bad, but the rules that you get for using that more than make up for it, right? Mm-hmm. But like, I don't like being locked into artifacts and command traits. It kind of takes away. Like, if you're like a list building kind of person, I don't think that's as fun. And it takes. And I mean, you can. And there is the argument, like, you increase like the strictness and the lack of options. It increases creativity, but I don't think that really applies here as much. It just kind of takes away from your options, mostly.
I mean, all the new books are going away from that. I think Seraphon might have been the last one, but like, I think everyone since the sub-factions aren't tied to items anymore.
All the new ones are, yeah. They're mostly like, they seem like in the new books, they're mostly taking things out. They're not adding stuff in. It's like, Grace your spell lore, we got 6. Let's just make it 3. That's easier. It's mostly just crossing things out in these books.
Lumineth as well. The Stone Mage used to have 6 spells to choose from. Now they only have 3 and stuff like this. So,
but they have like 3 different lores, though, right?
But only certain people can access them.
Yeah, so, I know, like, and that's good.
Yeah,
it's the same thing in like So Skaven had like 2 spell lores before, or still do, and then one was the Scryer Wizards, and then one was the Grey Seer lore. And the Scryer one is terrible outside of more Warp Power, like almost unusable. And then the Grey Seer ones, they had like 2 or 3 pretty good ones: Death Frenzy, Skitter Leap, and Warp Gale was good, but it was a casting value of 8, so like you didn't see it most of the time. I actually thought that one was really good. I wish they kept it in, but yeah. Interesting. Make it for wizards only, Mark says. 1 additional cast for Arcane Tome. That's actually an interesting idea, because then it takes away from, like,
it means you might actually see some of the War Scroll spells being used. Well, because some of the good, like my Blooddrake Medusa, her War Scroll spells pretty decent. It's like you're -1 to wounding and feebling, but then it's like, but you're too busy trying to cast Mind Razor or something else, or actually get anything off. So.
Well, and it would also help with being like thematic stuff like Khorne and dwarves and whatnot, or like you can't make like a priest a spellcaster as well, and then they're just doing all sorts of stuff. Yeah, had the faction specific. Yeah, that's true. That was kind of cool, actually. I did like the faction specific spell lores that they had in IDK. Like, they had like 1 really good spell. I don't mind that, Or what if, actually, here's an idea. What if the faction-specific artifacts, command traits, and spells were just like, in addition, if you choose this faction, you get access to them, but you don't have to take them. I'd be down for that. That's what they have in like in the 40k codices right now. Gene Stealer Cult, Tyranids. But anyway. Well,
I think that's us good for tonight.
I think so. I was just about to say, like, any final thoughts, guys, on the tournament, your strategies, anything you learned that you wanted to mention before we...
Don't play Matthias when you're playing Gits with Steven.
I'll be happy with the Kronspine to go now as well. Yeah, I've had my fun with it.
Yeah.
Now that I've won with it, no one else should have it.
That's a very important lesson, and it's good to be self-aware. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks to everyone for joining. Thanks for everyone for participating in the chat, and to my esteemed guest, or our esteemed guest.
There you go.
Yeah, I got there eventually. Yeah, stay tuned for more videos on the channel. We got some interesting stuff planned. I'm still oh yeah, who won bingo? I
can't remember, Eric, because you get a picture of them.
Okay.
I can't remember who it was.
They did the same thing that they did at Northern Wastes, where they had a bingo card where it was like fail a 3-inch charge, and it's like one of the squares for bingos. But yeah, it was cool. But yeah, thank you, Mark. Yeah, Chris, Alex, Mason, Sean, and Thor, and others that are not on my screen anymore. They're higher up. Brady,
Danny.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, Danny. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.